to a drop.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Run Disney Rundown. We're here to basically bring you our marathon weekend primer. Let's get excited because the biggest weekend for Run Disney is just a week away, whether many of us are ready or not.
Yeah, it came fast. I can't believe it's already been another year and we're already looking at marathon weekend.
I know. I think now's the time where people are kind of stressing, trying to decide whether or not they did enough to, get through it, do the big one. And newsflash, you probably did, and you can probably do it.
I know, this is my first year. Anawik and I are going to do the Goofy challenge, and so first time having to run 2 days in a row like this because we've been
it'll be your first challenge ever, right?
Yeah, first challenge ever. So kind of looking forward to that. I can be excited about it, but see if we're ready for it to do the half and then the marathon the next day. So
yeah, challenges they definitely hook you. Something about waking up at 2 a.m. many days in a row that just screams, I got to do this 4 times a year.
And you're back to Goofy again too. I mean, Dopey.
Dopey. Yeah, I had so much fun at Dopey last year. I am very excited for it this year. Just seeing everyone, you just get so much time to spend time with friends and see people. My whole family will be down. A lot of us are staying in a pretty close vicinity. We're right across the bay from you guys. So this is always just, I think, the most fun weekend of the year, especially for Run Disney.
There's a vibe to it, and Anna, we can never talk about it too because we've not put in the effort that we probably should have this year for a lot of different reasons. It's just been kind of a hectic fall, and it's been like a windstorm here today, so it's been kind of crazy. So we ran on the treadmill, but there's just something once you get down there, there's a vibe. Everybody's in a positive mood. The races are running. You see everybody with their medals in the parks afterwards, and it just motivates you once you get down there.
Yeah, it's exciting. So we'll run through a little bit of the, what is this called? The expo and the guide. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, guys. We did not pre-plan any of this. We were let's just do a show. So here we are doing a show. So we'll run through the guide. We'll talk very briefly about the expo. We're not going to go into every little detail here. I think most of you are making your return to Run Disney. If it is your first time, let us know. And if you're going to be down for Marathon Weekend, let us know what races you're running as well. We'd love to see you guys participating in the chat. Hello to Wendy. But I guess we can go ahead and go into the expo. So expo runs Wednesday to Saturday. First day is definitely the busiest of the days. And the big thing for the first day is they use that virtual queue. So Katie and I used the virtual queue at Wine and Dine, which is the first time they did it. And we actually really liked it. It worked very well for the way we do Run Disney and the way we do the expo. However, it does not perfectly serve everyone. There are definitely some issues with it. It does not necessarily help you if you are someone who's going to go later or someone who's midday. But if you are trying to get in there earlier, we found it useful. But for us, we can do it from home. We're within that distance radius. So you join it like any other virtual queue, like if you were to do Guardians or when they used to do it for Rise of the Resistance. It is the same exact system. The way this does kind of disadvantage you is if you have park days planned, you now have to go around whatever this queue is going to tell you. We will say, though, at the later in the evening, they drop the queue on that first day, and it's only the first day that they use the queue. So, like I said, we enjoyed it. We thought it worked, but it definitely doesn't necessarily work perfectly for everyone.
So, just a couple questions for the queue. Do you join it through the My Disney Experience app?
Yep. So it is on the My Disney Experience app. It might even already be on there, but when you go to the virtual queue option, just like you were going to join one to ride Guardians, there's a second tab where it says ESPN Wide World of Sports, and then there'll be an option for basically saying, hey, this is the marathon weekend merchandise. And again, you only need this virtual queue for the actual Run Disney Marathon Weekend themed merchandise. You don't need it to pick up your bib, get your shirts, or go into the regular expo. This is only for Run Disney merchandise.
And for Wine and Die, did you find, because I know you guys were in there pretty early, did you find that you were able, were things available, I guess, even? Did it get picked through pretty quickly?
No, I think we got everything that we had wanted, actually, and probably more. We did even go back later that day to kind of see.
Getting up to the news break here by Katie.
Yes, my water was actually out when I got home. There was like a water main break down the road from us, so we had no water, but apparently it just turned back, so thumbs up for that.
Yeah, like that.
But yeah, so we had gotten in pretty early, and what we had done was we basically joined a virtual queue. We got a pretty early number. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was probably like under 20. And we had gotten in pretty early, but we were just able to drive over there kind of based on what we thought our arrival time would be from the app. Only thing I will note is that first day, because people aren't waiting in line for the Run Disney merchandise now, they're waiting in line for other things. Namely, we were group 6. Namely, the bib pickup had a pretty fair line. It moved very quickly. I will say, people said for as long as it was like a 20-minute wait, which really wasn't that bad. We had ended up just going home, or not going home, but going back to our room, and then we went back to the expo later, and we kind of finished up doing the rest of the expo experience then.
I had one other question for you. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, so in the past now, Run Disney gives you the opportunity to like pre-purchase things. And did you find that there was more that you may have wanted outside of what they gave you to pre-purchase? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yes. So we are happy that pre-purchase is back. We did not pre-purchase anything for Marathon Weekend, only because a lot of it tends to be like various packages, and a lot of those packages tend to be like you're getting all of the merchandise for a certain event, or you're getting like every pin that they're making. Whereas you may only want 1 or 2 pins. The big thing that kind of disappoints me about that is we like the Marathon replica medals, and they don't do one that is just, here's all the replica medals. That is the only one. They do like, you can get everything for the 5K, everything for the 10K, everything for so and on. But there's not like, hey, here's one for each race.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like
I'm still glad that option is back. Like, that really needed to come back.
Well, cool. Well, hopefully everybody that is working for that queue will be able to get in line when they want to, I guess. So,
yeah. Only thing that is a little bit different about Marathon Weekend is if you are doing bib pickup, Dopey Challenge has its own like separate area for bib pickup away from the normal big large room where everyone goes and it says challenge bibs over here, 10K over here. Dopey has like its own side separate room upstairs that you go into. So just don't be alarmed by that. Basically, when you walk into that room, there's always that photo op right there, the big banner that says, you know, whatever, welcome to Marathon Weekend. People stop for their pictures. Usually you go right and you go downstairs. For Dopey, you go left and you go down a hallway. And back in there is where basically everyone goes for their Dopey stuff.
They don't want to keep you elite athletes mixing with us riffraff that are just doing goofy and
just doing what is that, like 90% of the distances?
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I'm in a smart aleck kind of mood tonight.
That's
and for
okay.
if people don't know, where is this held at? Like, if this is your first Marathon Weekend or any of the Run Disney.
This is at Wide World of Sports.
Okay.
Which is where the entire expo runs. And you do have to go there at least the day before one of your races to be able to pick up your bib.
Katie said Marathon Weekend either didn't have a pre-purchase or closed like super fast or something. It is definitely back for Princess in springtime. So good to know there.
Sassy Steve tonight. But All right. So let's go ahead. We'll touch base on the 5K very quickly.
Hey, can I throw one more thing out there just real quick?
Absolutely.
So one of the things that we struggle with is coming from the West Coast, our flight doesn't get in until later. So we always have to come in. So we're not going to run until Saturday. That means we have to come in on Thursday to be able to go to the expo on Friday. But I have noticed, like when during the springtime surprise, I saw that there was a line of people picking up. I'm not sure if they had the t-shirts or anything like that, but they were able to pick up their numbers, their bib numbers, the day of the race in the morning. Have you heard anything more about that option, or have you talked to anybody else that's done that option? Like,
Yeah, so that's one of those things that's like it's always been there. They don't advertise it, and they don't like they don't.
I'm sure they don't
really
want people
say,
to do that.
Yeah, but yeah, there is like an emergency pickup usually the morning of. You will not get your shirt. So if it's the last day after the expo closed, like the marathon, you won't. There's just no way for you to get your shirt. Sorry. The other thing that I've seen happen is if you like lose your bib or your bib gets destroyed somehow, they're able to give you a replacement bib there as well. I've seen them do that.
And I noticed it, at least at springtime, it was like right after you went through security. It was off to the right before you got kind of the main area where you could drop off your bags and whatnot if anybody's looking for it. I'm not sure if it'll still be in the same spot, but we'd want our t-shirts, so we're going to come in the day ahead of time anyway. So I was just curious. Okay, I digress.
We're all good. So let's go ahead. We'll talk real quick about the 5K here. Let me just go ahead and get this pulled up. There we go. So we got the 5K course here. It is pretty standard for the 5K. You're going to start, it's all contained within Epcot. You start in the parking lot. You swing that right around the parking lot. You go in by the cast member entrance, past Test Track, in by the Mexican Pavilion. You do the loop around World Showcase. Notice you won't go around the France Pavilion. For a while, we were going around the back there. And then you're going to loop out real quick and back in around by World Showplace, by the UK Pavilion. And then you run up towards, basically towards Spaceship Earth. And then all of the finishes are, unfortunately, the really weird long finishes out by Mission Space. And then you got to run all the way down around the Guardians building, which is not quite as fun as finishing right under Spaceship Earth and then going right into the finish.
It's. I feel like you get back there and you just don't know when it's going to finish. You keep making turns. It looks better on the map there than it feels like when you're actually running. But yeah, you don't get quite that classic thing. But hopefully, once the construction maybe comes down a little bit more, they'll be able to bring that route back out.
It's just weird though, because they used the route for marathon weekend. We finished, going by Spaceship Earth. So I don't know like what the logistic is there that it had to change, but that is the finish that we are dealt for this weekend. I don't really have too much more to say. We've really enjoyed doing the 5Ks recently. They're just so casual, very quick and easy morning. If there was any day where you could run a race and then go back into the parks for a little bit, this is definitely the race.
Do they have as many characters along the routes on the 5K as they do? Do they have more? Just because it's such a shorter race, do they kind of compress them a little bit more?
I would say the ratio is probably about the same to
Okay.
miles to characters, which I've never like done any sort of calculation on that. But typically you might get like maybe 4 or 5 different character stops, sometimes a little bit more. I'm trying to think. Watch my 5K video from last marathon weekend, and you'll see all the characters that we stopped at along the way. That would be my best advice to see how many there were from last year.
Gotcha.
Other than that, I don't have too much to say about the 5K. I do like the theme with Pluto and the sunglasses. The medal is super cool as well.
I like the 80s retro look, sort of, with the colors and everything like that, and all these t-shirts. So
Yes, I do love this theme so much this year. It should hopefully have some really cool merch for it. But we can go ahead and talk about the 10K real fast. 10K is the only one that has a different course. So we are back to, this is similar to the what used to be the old 10K course which was pretty much self-contained within Epcot. It's kind of backwards though this year. So now we are starting once again in the Epcot parking lot. You're going to swing left, and you kind of go out through the main entrance of Epcot, and then you do a quick turnaround. We used to go all the way around and come in similar to the 5K by the cast member entrance. Instead, we're actually going to go across the bridge how you finish for the half marathon, for pretty much every half marathon. And then you're going to go in over by Journey into Imagination. You're going to run down towards World Showcase. You go out by UK. And then you're going to go out and you're going to run the Crescent Lake area around Boardwalk and Beach Club, Yacht Club. And then you're going to come in, you're going to do the rest of World Showcase, go down the center, and then same finish as before, out by Mission Space, around Guardians, and into the finish. So again, the only course that's different from last year, I have enjoyed the 10K course that we were doing for a while, for most race weekends these last few weekends. But I'm actually kind of excited to see something different and to do a course that's actually going all the way around the boardwalk area, because that is a fun area to get to run around.
That's like one of my favorite parts about the marathon, when you finish and you get through boardwalk and everything like that. So I hope people will enjoy that. That's cool that they do that in this one.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. 10Ks are, well, they're all fun races. But
And
that's going to...
Chip and Dale. You can't go wrong with Chip and Dale also. That's a cool logo.
Yeah, they dethroned Oswald.
I'll probably get some shade on that. I know a lot of people love Oswald.
Wendy also asked, is the boardwalk area generally slippery? If it's wet, it can be a little bit slippery. I have not found myself like slipping myself, but I definitely think most people tend to either slow up or try to kind of pay attention walking on that area. I feel like it's almost always tends to be a little bit wet too.
Yeah, I've never had any problems with it either, Wendy, as far as like running along the boardwalk. But yeah, be careful. The only place I remember it being slippery is during once again springtime. We go back and run it through Galaxy's Edge.
That's got like some weird pathing as well.
Yeah.
But breaking down, half course is honestly nothing new. But I like this half course. I feel like it's like a very classic Disney half marathon. You're going to start, you do have to do that long walk out to the corrals. So just be prepared from your car or buses all the way out to the corrals. It is like probably almost 2 miles. So that is quite a ways to go. Just make sure you give yourself enough time to get out there and get into your corrals. But this course takes you down along Epcot Center Drive, and then you go up World Drive. You go through the parking lot area. I've actually always enjoyed this parking lot area because they tend to load it with characters. I think for Marathon Weekend, there was like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 different characters and different like music entertainment along that section. And there's always crowds at TTC cheering people on. So it's actually always a really hype section. And then you go back along World Drive, past Contemporary, into Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom section is pretty standard, up Main Street, around Tomorrowland, around Fantasyland, through the castle, get your iconic castle pick, and then back out around Fantasyland, and you exit through the back of Magic Kingdom, out a service entrance. You run a really dark and like creepy path if it's still nighttime for you. It's like always just super dark back in that path. And then about mile 7, you're going to hit the Polynesian Contemporary area, going by the golf courses there. This part of the course might actually be a little bit different because of the construction on the roads. I'm not sure like which road they're going to have us actually running on with some of that different pathways open now or roadways open. So that will be interesting to see. That brings you out of around mile 8. You got a little bit of a slog on the highway there around basically up until mile 11 until you get ready to head back into Epcot. Into Epcot is a very quick cut across Epcot. Go in by Journey into Your Imagination and back basically straight across by Connections and then out around Mission Space to your finish out by Guardians.
That's a little bit different, isn't it? Or am I out to lunch on that? As far as I thought, it went a little bit further, like back to the start and then back around. But
The like that last little section is probably a little different because last year you did go all the way up to Spaceship Earth and then you finished out the side there.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of. Okay.
But the actual course itself is pretty much the same.
So there is like there are two questions. There's one slippery area I find, or kind of it could be slippery since we're talking about that. But that plastic bridge after you come out of the Magic Kingdom, there's like a bridge that goes over that little canal. I've seen some people slip.
Oh yeah, they do. It's like got a weird covering on it.
Yeah, yeah. And then what time does the race start? Is it a little bit earlier this year?
All of the race starts are 5 a.m. You can actually see it just a little bit in the background of my window there. But
So
all race starts are 5 a.m.
I guess I was thinking because Anawik started a little bit further. Anawik's my wife. She started a little bit further in the corrals, I guess, last year. And so she was used to getting to Magic Kingdom when it was light. And she actually got to Magic Kingdom when it was dark. And so when you come down Main Street there with the castle all lit up in the tree, that was kind of cool for her.
Yeah, that area going through Main Street, like with the crowds, is probably the most like iconic part of the race. Some people either that or going through the castle and like doing that photo op, but I love like that getting into Magic and there's just all this hype with people cheering, you're running towards the castle. That is probably one of my favorite parts of like any Run Disney race.
Agreed. I'm looking forward to the half this year.
Me too. And then you have anything else to say about the half?
No, just I think I love the course itself. It's a little bit, maybe at the backside after you go past the poly and everything like that, it might be a little bit boring, but it's not too bad. At that loop up, they usually have some kind of entertainment to get you motivated going up that hill.
Yeah. Wendy says, so excited for that part for Princess Weekend. That is, I mean, that's why you do the half or the full is like that part of the race. I guess the full is because you also get like you do all 4 parks. It's actually the one where you run all the parks. But speaking of the full, here we are, the big one, the hard one,
the granddaddy.
Yep, the reason for the season, marathon weekend. All right, this is easily the most convoluted course. This is almost hard to explain, like all of the different out and back, especially in this first little start area. But I will do my best to guide you along here. You do same start as for Princess, back along the highway there. So once again, give yourself enough time to get out to those corrals. And you start, and you do a very quick loop back into Epcot, like right away. And I almost wish I could zoom in on this. Oh wait. Give me 1 sec, folks. Nope. Okay, never mind. It doesn't want to work for me. I was going to zoom in for you, but we're not that blessed. Anyways, so yeah, you do a very, very quick kind of loop into Epcot, and then you basically head right back out of Epcot, and you swing back around by the starting area. So you actually, what was cool last year was I ran by like right after everyone had finished, and I guess at the end, they just launch any leftover fireworks, like all in one big barrage. So that was kind of cool because they just launched a ton of fireworks, like right in front of me. But then I feel like after that is like when the real slog of the marathon starts. You hit mile 5 kind of right after that. And you are back onto World Drive. This part's going to be very similar to Princess, where you're heading up towards Magic Kingdom along World Drive. You're going through the parking lot. You do a little section through the parking lot by Contemporary. The area for Magic Kingdom is, I believe, exactly the same. You go through Main Street, you go down Tomorrowland, by Fantasyland, through the castle, down Frontierland, and out that backside. And then you are running down by Grand Floridian Poly, by the golf courses, and here you make that cut into the back road. I think that's like Bear Creek Road or something along the lines. It's a cast member like service entrance. This is another long part. I do kind of like this part though. It is also where you go by the water treatment plant and all of that fun stuff. So just be prepared. This is the long part, getting you to Animal Kingdom here. There is a little like out and switch where you're going to run by the runners who are on their way onto mile 19. but you were on mile 15 to 16 here. You run in the section of Animal Kingdom is a kind of quick section. You go in by Africa, and you're going to run kind of the back outside part by Asia, by Everest, and then you're going out by Dinosaur, and you run kind of another back service road. These back service roads by Animal Kingdom are pretty cool, though. You can usually see different animals, and they tend to have like kind of a graveyard of old like show props and stuff back there. This is also the area where the plane used to be.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember that. Now that plane's been restored, but you used to be able to see it back there. And this actually brings you into mile 18 and 19. Mile 19 to like 22 was definitely the part where I hit like the biggest wall last year. This part is just all a slog. And yeah, this part's just long, especially like the sun is up. That mile 19 to 20 stretch, the sun is just like right there in your face. Bring sunglasses. I would recommend it. This part's tough. And then you got to do this weird dip where you go to Blizzard Beach, but you don't actually run through Blizzard Beach because they did that one year and it's all like 3-foot paths that zigzag back and forth. It was kind of annoying. But instead you run the whole parking lot, and then you go into the parking lot and you run a square in the parking lot, and it's like it's an aid station is what it is. But it's just a big square, and when you're 20 miles into a marathon, you don't really feel like you want to run a big useless square.
No, it's kind of like we used to. I mean, it was sort of cool, but we used to run around the bases, and when you went through ESPN, although that was better than running a square, to be honest.
Yeah, but you don't have to do the whole like section down Osceola anymore, because that was like 3 miles down of highway and then another 2 miles to get back to Hollywood Studios at least.
Right.
So I don't know. You win some, you lose some. There are a lot of people who actually say they missed the ESPN part. They enjoyed that.
I mean, it was kind of long, it felt like to me, but it was cool because there was just so much stuff to look at. You're always turning and going in a different direction, and yeah, I liked it. I kind of miss it.
Yeah, you went around the track and stuff too. But then you were gonna make your way up to Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios is the park you are probably in for the least amount of time. You go up by Tower of Terror, and then you're like basically on Sunset Boulevard for, I don't know, maybe 100 feet, 200 feet, and then you cut left and you exit the park right away. And that is because at that point the park is open, so like they're trying to let people get where they need to go. So you're kind of on half of the road, whereas if you've run some of the other recent races that go through Hollywood, you like have the whole road. Typically it's still dark. That will probably not be the case for really anyone. That park is full, but that is nice because there's typically people in there cheering and stuff for you at that point.
And usually at mile 23, correct me if I'm wrong, they usually have candy there for you, right?
Yes, that is marked as a food spot. That is typically where they give out some sort of chocolate.
So that's always fun.
Studios equals chocolate stop.
There we go. See, all right.
But yep, and then finish is pretty typical where you're running along that weird, not weird. I enjoy that little path that takes you to the boardwalk. You go around the boardwalk section into Epcot. Sorry. This map is like making my brain hurt. But you go into Epcot and you go around World Showcase, and sorry, I'm looking at like where the two parts, but you go into the same finish where you're going out around Mission Space and then up by Guardians. And you did it. You ran a marathon.
I like the water treatment plant because that kind of motivates you to get through there faster because of the smells. And then I do like the fact I haven't done this one yet, but where after you go through Animal Kingdom, you kind of loop back that way because they used to like just send you out on the road to kill some miles, like I can't remember how far you went, like 3 miles.
It was like 3 miles down Osceola because that's where you went to ESPN next.
Yeah, but remember like there was that one time where they sent you out and then you came back. So it was kind of an out and back. It was kind of, I always find those kind of cool because you can kind of see people that are like in front of you and behind you and everything like that. So it's kind of little people watching as you're running. But I don't know. I kind of like this where it loops around back that way, I guess.
Oh, here's a good question. What are the best viewing spots on the Route to Cheer team? And that is from Mark. I want to say that's my friend Mark, quite possibly. Anyways, so best spots to cheer. They do let you out by the highway here at the start to see people go. However, because the course has like the 2 lanes, you'll actually be by like where people go by the second time. So you'll be probably about 50 or so feet away. You can see typically people out by when you go by the bus area, right after mile 3 there, or about mile 3 by Epcot.
It's not up on the screen. Like,
oh, you're right. It would probably help if I would put that back up there. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just.
And leave it up there because we still got one more race to talk about.
We do, yeah. I forgot about that. Oh, how do I get us all back up here? There we go. All right. Anyways, yeah. So, and of course, the finish area is going to be where you're going to congregate for the finish. I would say Katie's favorite spot to spectate, the couple times where she's watched me run halves, is they do let people before the park opens into Magic Kingdom early. And typically somewhere on the guide, there are details saying like what time you can show up. And if they're going to get through Magic Kingdom, like before the park opens, that is a really cool area to spectate. And especially if you get there early, you see like any of the elite runners there going through as well really early. And that is just, it's a lot of hype. I mean, you get to actually be in the park. There's not a lot of places you can be in the parks, at least for free anymore. And of course, park hopping kind of ruined like being able to hop from park to park to see people as well. So that is a little bit annoying. Anyways, though, Magic Kingdom is an area. I heard people had trouble getting into Grand Floridian or Polynesian. So if you can somehow get to one of those resorts, whether by monorail, Uber, or your own car, you can kind of get out there and see people. I would actually say Contemporary is your better bet. The Polynesian, people were typically end up finding, like, it doesn't go right by the Polynesian. You end up having to, like, go kind of along the road to actually get out there. So Contemporary tends to be your better bet to see people. One spot that is a little bit different that people have gone to is by Coronado by mile 20. People have taken a bus or an Uber over to there and then gone out by the road to cheer for people. Of course, if you have a park pass, you can get into Animal Kingdom as well and cheer along the route there. Same would go for Hollywood Studios as well. And then anywhere along the boardwalk area, if they let you in, that's probably one of the other areas they're pretty stingy about letting people in, especially in recent years. Now with the marathon, it probably won't be an issue because it's going to be well in daylight for pretty much everyone at that point. But they had started making like boardwalk a quiet zone and trying to discourage people from cheering. And then, of course, once again, you're back around Epcot. So if you have a park pass, it is actually a lot of fun to go into Epcot and cheer. One year, Katie and I went in and like cheered on kind of I was probably like the last 30 minutes of the race. And that was a lot of fun as well. So those would be pretty much all the spots you can actually go and spectate from. You do have to probably pick and choose some of those. I would not plan on hopping to every one of those spots. You will probably end up stuck in some sort of traffic and miss people. But you can definitely like pick up, at least one or two of those spots if you're planning on being there like from the start.
And today, I mean, it depends on what your runner's doing too. Like if they get their iPhone with them or whatever else, it's pretty easy to track them rather than just the times that get sent to you if you sign up to track them that way. I know I was tracking Anna behind me with her because she had her iPhone and I had my iPhone, so I was just tracking her that way. So that might be, so you're just not sitting there as long, maybe potentially.
Yeah, if you have your phone, definitely have them set for some sort of tracking. Garmin also has a tracking option, but you do have to be within the vicinity of your phone. But you can send that to people, and you can get pretty like accurate tracking through that as well. I'm sure it's just as good as the Apple option. I don't really know. I don't have an Apple.
Join the cult, Blake. Join the cult.
No, I'm good. Mark, thanks for watching, by the way. It's good to see you.
Katie says, I love treating at Epcot. If only Disney would let me back in on Sundays.
Yeah, Katie's stuck on that pixie dust pass.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow, there's quite a few people watching. If you guys are watching, feel free to say hi. If you're running Marathon Weekend, spectating, let us know what you're running, what you're excited for, where you're staying, any of that fun stuff. If you have any questions, too, feel free to ask. We are definitely would appreciate some questions here. Because like I said, we didn't really plan this episode too much. We were just kind of going with it.
I think there's a couple more things we could talk about. We need to talk about the Castaway Challenge, because you were going to be running that. I think that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, we can talk about Castaway. So after Marathon Weekend that Monday, we are hopping on board the Disney Wish, and we are running the Castaway Challenge. Feel free to continue to ask your Marathon Weekend related questions while we go and talk about this a little bit. This is kind of interesting. If you don't know, the regular Castaway 5K is kind of a staple of Castaway. I don't know if really any other like private cruise island does something like this. In the past, it used to be an organized 5K that you could do on any single cruise. But what is a little bit different about this is the cruise directly after Marathon Weekend, which is on the Wish this year, the 4-night that leaves the Monday, has a very special actual Run Disney event, Castaway Challenge, where you get like a real medal. And it's supposed to be a real Run Disney race on their private island. So Katie and I are very excited to participate in this. This is the first year it's been back since it went away before, COVID and all of that. So we do have the map up here. It is just a 5K. It's, should be pretty fun and casual. I'm looking forward to it. You do start and you're running down. This like big straightaway is the runway, which is kind of fun, something different if you've never gotten to do a runway race before. And then what's a little bit different about this opposed to the regular Castaway is you're actually running down the big, long bike path all the way in the back by the Serenity Bay or the adults area. And you run pretty much all the way to the back of that, which is back where like the kayaking excursion and stuff actually takes place if you've been back there. And you loop around, you run all the way back up that path. And then from there, you go on to kind of what people would consider the normal 5K path, where you're going through the bike loop where the observation tower is. But instead of having to do that twice, you only do it once, and then you're actually finished right after you get out of that.
I like that. It's a little bit of a different. I've never been down that bike path before down. I know you guys have done the kayaking excursion before, but I've actually never been down that bike path. So I like the fact that they changed it up and you don't have to run that loop twice.
Oh, it's cool. If you ever rent bikes, go down it because there's like a couple cool like lookout points back along the way there.
Okay, next time, goals.
Yeah, it's fun. We are definitely looking forward to it. We did the cruise after Princess Weekend, and we were definitely like the Run Disney into a cruise is a lifestyle. That is something that we are definitely about. So if you're going to go ahead.
I don't want to digress too much, but I do. So we were just on the fantasy last week, and I do like the fact that you can just run it now whenever you want to, rather than having to get up at 7:30 in the morning and go off as a group. I mean, it's kind of cool to do it as a group, but I like the fact that you can just, take your own time as far as when you want to run it.
It's kind of nice being casual.
Yeah.
You're already on vacation.
So that was kind of nice. And then anybody going on a cruise, if you want to do that 5K, you can do it at your own pace, and then at the bike rental areas where they have the medals. So just pick them up there. Get yourself. Not what Lakes and Katie are going to get, but the cheapo ones.
The medal for that weekend is so cool, though. That's like one of my favorite of the weekends, is that it's got the ship on it. It's like a little spinner. That is a cool one.
Yeah. If we don't have any other questions, I think there's one other thing that we're sort of talking about. I think it's supposed to be pretty hot or pretty warm, or possibly forecast to be pretty warm, right? Like,
it is forecasted to be very warm. Yeah, that is an issue that seemed to plague us for many marathon weekends now.
So any tips that you have as far as like being prepared, as far as running in a little bit warmer weather, making sure you're really hydrated ahead of time? What are some of the things that you do?
I mean, hydration is definitely the bunch of marathon. Oh, Katie says a bunch of marathon weekend races just opened up per Twitter. That's very interesting. It's pretty late in the game to try to sign up. Interesting. Anyways, hydration is going to be your biggest key. For many people, there's not a lot of time to heat acclimate. Even us in Florida right now, it is like, I don't know, in the 50s, maybe even colder right now. Yeah, 54 right now. On Christmas, it was in the 30s. Oh, apparently, if you were looking to get into the Castaway Challenge, that is also open. If you're looking to get into that or book a last-minute cruise, come and join us. It'd be a lot of fun. Other than that, I would not recommend maybe wearing black for the marathon. And then just thinking about what you're going to wear for the marathon, something that's going to be cool and comfortable for that 26 miles is definitely a big one.
Yeah, good points there. And don't pass up those water spots or those water stops, especially early on when you're feeling pretty good, because it could creep up on you over time.
Yeah, hopefully if it's hot, they'll have the like the sponges and stuff too. Those have been a blessing for many people. Mark says, y'all have inspired me. Is the 10-miler worth it? Mark, I will tell you, Springtime Surprise Weekend and the 10-miler were my second favorite weekend behind Marathon last year. And we are doing it, so I would highly encourage you to do it. And then text me later and let me know if you want to link up plans.
So should we talk about where you guys are staying and where we're staying, or any?
Yeah,
anything
we
along
can
those
talk
lines?
on that.
Yeah, kind of.
We're
plans for the
doing
weekend.
something a little bit different, which hopefully should be a lot of fun. Oh, Mark says, I'm signed up. Let's do it.
That's awesome.
Oh, here's a question. What are the differences for Marathon Weekend course map between 2022 and 2023? I think the course map in MK is a bit different, but not sure about the rest. I believe for the marathon, it looks to be pretty much the same. I didn't see anything majorly different. We'll see when we actually get there and they have the nice big printout. I'll probably get to see it a little bit better. Oh, Katie says, yes, MK is different. It goes near pirates. That is interesting. Let me see if I can pull that back up. Oh, Katie is actually going to join us here to give us her.
Sorry, you probably can hear yourself. So I can't hear anything Steve says because I don't have headphones in. But it is different for Marathon Weekend. Someone pointed this out on the internet. So instead of running Frontierland, Liberty Square over like kind of where Big Thunder is. Sorry, I like ran over here. I'm like out of breath. Whew. Okay, this is not going to be a fun race for me. You go over near Pirates. You go like under that little bridge, I think where you get Dole Whip, and you run by Pirates. Yeah. So usually we run more along the water.
Yeah, I see what she's talking about now.
Yeah. So I think that'll be really cool for the marathon because I'm assuming they're going to put pirate-y characters out there, and that'll be really fun.
Okay, well, that is exciting. I was not paying enough attention. Also, this red on green color scheme for these lines does not do it for me.
Not good for the colorblind folks.
It's not. It's like hard to look at.
Yeah.
And I can barely read the mile markers here. But yes, that is a little bit different actually. You go along this little path here, but instead you cut in, you get a little bit of Adventureland.
Yep. Which I don't think I've run that way before. I've done lots of races, and you've done lots of races, and I don't think we've done that before.
No, I don't think I've ever seen that. So I am sorry. I was actually misspoken earlier.
But the other parts of Magic Kingdom look typical.
The beginning is all pretty much the same.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, that was it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my wife.
Bye.
And Katie's running Dopey as well, right?
Katie is. Yes, she's doing her first Dopey.
Love it.
Yes, I'm excited for her. I know. She's definitely a little bit nervous, as I think people can be. It is a long weekend. It's a tiring weekend. But at the end of the day, like the marathon and waking up for the marathon is definitely the hardest part. So if you can get there, you can do it. But all right, anyways, we were talking about our plans. So Katie and I actually rented an RV and got a campsite for Fort Wilderness. This is the first time we've ever done this. We've stayed at Fort Wilderness for weekends before, whether it be in cabins or actually tent camping. We've done a couple times for race weekends, which actually was fun. We enjoy tent camping and we love Fort Wilderness. I think Fort Wilderness is like one of the few places that still has that like nice classic Disney feel. But yeah, we were really excited to be able to just be at Fort Wilderness and just hang out in our RV and our hammock for the weekend.
I think having a nice soft bed in between the races would be nice versus that sleeping bag on. So I think that's awesome what you guys are doing. That is super cool.
Yeah, we thought it was like fairly affordable too. Like once you break down the cost of both the campsite and the RV, it's like similar price range to what you would pay for like maybe a moderate resort. I know it was cheaper than the cabins, which was kind of our like make or break on it.
And you guys, did you guys, am I correct me if I'm wrong? I think you can actually rent RVs through Disney too, right?
I don't
Am I
think
to
you
launch
can
on
do
that?
it through Disney. We did it
Okay.
through a third party, and there
Okay.
are, like when I look through, there's quite a few that do it specifically for Fort Wilderness.
Okay. Well, that'll be pretty cool. So how are you going to get from there to the races then? Do they run the boat? Well, I'm trying to figure. No, they would run buses, right?
They were on the buses from Fort Wilderness, yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that's a little bit different about that is there is like an inner bus that you can take up to get to the front where the bus for RunDisney is. Typically, though, we have a car, so we'll drive up to the front. So it does work a little bit better if you have a vehicle just to get up there and then get onto the bus then.
Yeah, I've been over there a couple times, but I've actually never stayed there. So excited to hear what you guys think about that.
We love it. We just we did a weekend in the cabins back in August. And then, Steve, what do you got going on for Marathon Weekend?
So we are back at Wilderness Lodge again, using our DVC points to stay there. So my brother and his husband are there, and Anamike and I'll be there for the. I guess we get there Thursday and through the whole weekend from there. Love staying there. The only thing that I will point out or say is like I think it was last year they had the electric water pageant that went by. I think like right as we were trying to get asleep, and we were still on the West Coast time, so we are having a hard time to begin with. And I think I was just about to fall asleep, and that thing went by, and it woke me up. Which it sounds like I'm complaining, first world problems, but love Wilderness Lodge. So, and it's usually pretty low key there in the mornings, getting over to the races. Doesn't feel like the buses are like overly crowded. We've stayed at Saratoga before, and sometimes you have to wait wait for a couple buses, but nothing too bad.
Yeah, Saratoga can definitely have some longer lines sometimes. I think recently, though, it seems to have been better, like with them having enough buses early in the morning. Now there's definitely almost always a story from some resort every weekend about, this or that bus. But overall, we've generally had positive experiences with the buses.
Yeah, and the thing I think maybe next time we'll go back to Saratoga because I like that option to be able to go across to Disney Springs. A lot more food options over there.
Yeah, that is nice, especially before Marathon Weekend, having pretty much whatever option sounds the best.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I think is that everything for today?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's everything I wanted to hit. Like I said, I didn't find the need to completely blanket every single detail, especially because a lot of the information for the races is fairly similar. They all start at 5 this year, where I think it was Marathon last year, where it was 5:30, 5:30, 5:30, and then 5. And then Wendy asked, what shoes will you be rocking for Marathon Weekend? Man, if only we had our shoe connoisseur here.
Yeah, too bad Steve's not here because you'd have a different shoe for every mile in the race, I think.
I'll have at least 2 pairs with me, maybe 3, depending on how I'm feeling. But my marathon shoe will be the Hoka Mach 4s, and then my other like intermediate shoe will be the Hoka Clifton 8s.
Nice. So I'm going to do the half in the New Balance 880s, kind of old school. And I can do the marathon in the 1080s this year.
Okay.
So all New Balance for me.
Cool stuff. I have a pair of the 880s. I have a pair of, I got a pair of the Saucony Endorphin Speeds. I really like them. I wore them for the 10K for Wine and Dine. I've been yes, Clifton 8s did just go on sale. I actually need to get a pair because I have a gift card I got from Christmas, and my Clifton 8s are actually from Marathon Weekend last year, so they are well on the way out.
I guess that's a good point. Just real quick, like if you're coming from out of town and for some reason you forget something, or maybe your bags don't show up, if you're flying or something like that, what are some options for people if they need to pick up some stuff? Obviously, the expo, they sell a lot of things there. Have you found that like they have enough shoe sizes there for people, or is the best thing to do to go over to Disney Springs possibly?
Both are good options. There is also a third option I can throw out there as well. I would say most of your needs could be met at the expo. However, if you are a guy, I would say your option in clothing tends to be a little bit more limited. There is tons and tons of female fitted wear, not a lot of men's wear at the expo. And I think that's just probably representative of what their sales are. There are typically way more women at the events than men. That just is how the Run Disney events are. Other options for you, there is the Fit to Run at Disney Springs. A lot of times too, because the big vendor there is Fit to Run at the expo, if they don't have a size, they'll tell you if they have it at Disney Springs. And then they also have a store at the mall that's only a few miles away. And there's also an outlet store, and I think there is a Hoka outlet at the outlets there, and people have actually reported getting some pretty cool deals there as well.
So a couple different options. Katie's rocking what, like?
Ghost 14s. She has 3 different pairs in her rotation right now. They're the shoe that have been working for her really well.
Nice.
That's Brooks.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys down there. I mean, one thing that I've learned from Marathon Weekend and just running the Run Disney races, you know, getting to meet you and Katie and several other people now, is people are just so friendly down there, and just have a good time out of those races. You know, if you need a little motivation, you see somebody that needs some motivation, give it to them. Don't be afraid to talk to people out there, because it's a great group of people that come out for these races.
Yeah, like I said, Marathon Weekend is our favorite weekend, because Marathon Weekend is just the weekend that it feels like everyone is like squatted up. Like everyone is there, everyone shows up, everyone has a great time. You know, typically there's all sorts of different meetups for different Facebook groups and whatever groups going on. So there's always a lot to do. Plus, you know, you're at Disney, you can do the parks, and you can just have a good time. Mark, I am excited to see that you are running the 10-miler. And then Wendy also asked, do you guys run the entire time, or do you run walk? I typically run the entire time. My pace and stuff will vary depending on like what I'm trying to do. Most of this weekend will be all pretty much easy running. The marathon last year, I did do a little bit of run walking though, and a little bit of shuffling because I was hurting last year.
The heat was pretty tough last year, right?
Yeah, the heat was tough. I was very much undertrained. That was a rough marathon.
So I've run everything in the past, but looking at what we had planned this year with all the stuff going on in the fall, we knew we weren't going to be able to get those long runs in. So we are planning on running the half, and then we're going to run walk the marathon. I've never done that before, so curious to see how that's going to work out.
Should be fun. You and Wake are doing it together, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna have some fun, take some pictures, and
get some drinks along the way.
Get some drinks along the way. Yeah. Stop at La Cava del Tequila or something like that, maybe as we pass through Mexico on our way to the finish line.
That is a plan. A lot of people do it too. A lot of people stop for beers, and especially at that point, like you have less than a mile left. If you have the time, like it's kind of fun.
I think I'm going to try. I don't know if you guys are still going to be around, but we want to try and make it to the finish line to hook up with you guys and have a beer there for sure at the end of the marathon.
We'll be in there. We'll be there. We typically hang out pretty long after we finish with the races. We enjoy getting to see people. You can almost always find us if you were going by where the character stops are. There's a set of bleachers there. We're almost always to the right of those bleachers. That is just the spot that we are always at.
And definitely, if you see us along the course or afterwards, stop by and say hi, because we'd love to talk to you and hear how your race went.
Yeah, absolutely. Any point during the weekend, you see us at the expo, please stop us, say hi. We would love to stop and chat. It's probably one of our favorite things to do is to get to chat with fellow runners and people who enjoy the different content and videos we're putting out. But I think that is gonna about do it. I know Steve's got some dinner plans, and it is getting a little bit late on my side.
So one last thing, I guess Katie says I walk, run, then walk, jog, then shuffle, then black out, then Lake gives me a beer. Perfect system.
Sounds about right. I can definitely attest to the beer part.
And thanks, Wendy, for rooting for us from afar. Appreciate that. And it's fun to be able to do this podcast again. Sorry, it's been a little bit off for me, but it was fun to get back out and do this. Like,
yeah, well, that's the point of our podcast is we do it whenever we feel like it.
And I'm sure we'll have a wrap up afterwards to talk about kind of our experiences and everything like that. So look back after Lake and Katie get off the ship when they get back from that amazing cruise on the beautiful Disney Wish. We'll do a wrap up show.
Just like always, we'll have videos from all the races. Katie will also actually have a camera this year. She has her own camera now. So we'll have kind of double the content. Plus we'll have vlogs and stuff from all the different days of our cruise, along with videos from the Castaway Challenge. So look forward to tons and tons of content after this weekend. But I think that will do it. Thank y'all so much for watching. Once again, if you're going to be at Marathon Weekend, let us know. Come up and say hi. We would love to see you, and best of luck to you, of course. And we will see you next time on the Run Disney Rundown. Bye, guys.
Have a great race, everybody.
I should have maybe, queued up the outro.